So, I want to briefly talk about some stuff that is not as much grading and teaching related that schools could really improve on to help neurodivergent kids, kids with disability, and more. One of them is to have optional extracurriculars. And the optional extracurriculars would really help out. So, I'm going to give an example. And when I say these optional, maybe you have a system to replace it with something else. Maybe you just say, no, you don't have to do it. Or maybe the system is inside school replace it, maybe it's outside school. Maybe you just have to have your parents sign it or something, a waiver. But the thing is, like, gym. I know a lot of autistic people and dyslexics and that actually failed gym class multiple times, and that's the only class I failed like me in before college. And I would sometimes wrap around the jump rope around my neck and face palm. That's how unskillful I would. Multiple times hurt myself because there's such a lack of motor coordination. And then it also was loud, noisy, oftentimes too bright for me. There's a lot of bullying that happened there. And besides all that bullying and everything, there was also this kind of, they would give instructions in auditory ways, and it was just really hard for me to understand auditory information, such auditory instructions. And then beyond all that, oftentimes people look down upon you when you're messing up such simple, so-called simple tasks. Instead, I could have had health class. I could have had occupational therapy, which is kind of when they teach, kind of like life skill teaching therapy, where you learn can learn stuff like better hands-eye motion, organization, sensory integration therapy, or nothing at all. And oftentimes things will put me in a bad mood or make me feel sick, and I would oftentimes get dehydrated because I wasn't very aware of my own body, which a lot of autistic people are. And you can say, oh, but what if a doctor's note or something? It can take years to get a doctor's note for some of these things, so you can't just rely on the disability system. For another example is music class. I would often do horrible in music class, and I was in it before first grade, since 10th grade, mandatory music classes and more, and I have pretty bad auditory processing disorder and dyslexia, and I never learned how to read the notes. I cannot memorize tunes for the life of me, and this is after so much. I find amazing that people can memorize tunes for simple songs. Music to me I don't understand it very well. It can make me happy, it can make me emotional. I like listening to music, but I have to be so much in control of the music I'm listening to. Or it's just overwhelming, it can drive me insane, and I can't focus on anything. And oftentimes with music, I start stimming heavily, which stands for self-stimulation. Get your head out of the gutter. But I start moving or I start making noises, and people think you're high or look down upon you when you do that, and I can't sit still. And trying to suppress it really makes you anxious and everything, and not being able to do anything that everyone else is being able to do so easily. So getting rid of music classes would have also made me in a bad mood for the whole entire day, and I dreaded going to music classes and would oftentimes throw fits. But that's just some examples. Another option I think that would be very nice is to skip levels. And by skipping levels, I mean, you shouldn't always, or the reverse, staying at a lower level, because sometimes you're particularly good at something or particularly bad at something, and having a level take a class more at your level would mean that you're less likely to be bored or act out, and you're more likely to learn something. And you can also learn more at something you're particularly good at, so you could become a more accomplished person in that area, or not. Or you can have less stress because stuff is more at your level, so you can do other stuff. Or maybe you just take an easier class so you can just do other stuff outside the classrooms. Other things with the classroom is to have classes that are more just quiet or quiet rooms where there's no class, so people could relax and chill and reset, which can really help me. Or dark places. I'm sensitive to light and like darker places, and it helps me focus. Another one is to have stuff more widely spaced apart, because I'm not very body aware and I would bump into things a lot or people. And having other things like that, so you just don't bump into people. Having better designed chairs so people don't fall in the chairs or you knock over other people or stuff like that, like stairs that are more stable and easy to move around, and desks. For the another thing is to have not have everyone just eat in the cafeteria, but have some classrooms, other places open up to eating, and that can be a less stressful environment, or an environment where you have more of just your friends or something. It's this overwhelming environment with all these kids that are just all over the place. And beyond having all these kids all over the place, these classes could be where you get help from teachers or other things or special interests, or it could be one of the darker places or with less light. Now, I understand you can't have every classroom because sometimes teachers need a break, but you could alternate teachers, you could have support workers, could even have parents being it. You may have an older kid take care of the class. Another idea is to be able to take online classes in school as an alternative, so you don't have to take this online class at home or rest home. And then you can have more options that way for what to do when skipping class or keep kids less bored. Yeah, and that will also make online classes more accessible for people with bad internet or something. Another possibility that's more on the teaching side is to have some kids teach the class though through the special interest or a special interest applied. Either a teacher chooses to take it up upon and we advertise it that way, or maybe a parent comes in to teach a class, or it's self-taught or something like that. But it will be held to have mandatory assignments to see that they're at the same level or at a certain level. A big deal is to get rid of mandatory attendance, because from so many perspectives it is ableist and awful. Not all people are healthy, and forcing them to go to school unhealthy makes them less healthy, and actually will the grades go down in the learning experience. They also might make other people less healthy and spread the disease. Sometimes the disease is not transmissible, but that includes mental or physical health. But also sometimes you learn more outside of school, like on a special trip or something, or with your family. So, but what it teaches kids instead is that you must obey the system, not to focus on your health, and we should celebrate overworking, which is a bad thing to teach. Also, let's try to, and I skipped number 3, so I'll get back to number 3 after this. Let's get rid of the newscast or these messages in the beginning of morning they have oftentimes at public and private schools, because oftentimes there's just technical difficulties. It takes abnormally large chunk of time off. And so you can have bulletin boards with all the information. They can read at your own pace. Also, you can have reminders if you forgot what the newscast says or you're zonking out. The teacher can make these announcements in the beginning of class if it's really important on the bulletin board. And you can have emails and stuff sent that people could optionally sign up for to put everything more in aware. And that would also get a lot rid of noise and distractions, so the whole place will be a lot more quiet and less disrupted. So getting back to 3 is lanyards for talk, no talk, or other things. What I mean by that is I got this idea from hearing about this in actually in a couple stores and restaurants and assemblies, is that you can have a lanyard that says talk to me, don't talk to me, or different things. And you can take it off to symbolize different things. But imagine you have lanyards on you have your desk, and you can put up signs or flags when you have a question or you want to respond to a question, or when you need help, or when you just don't want to be bothered. That way a classroom could be less noisy. Teachers could see who needs stuff. Kids don't have to raise a hand or stuff and can just flop around more so they can stim more stuff. But you can still get the same help. Or mobile people can put out different communicate stuff more than just simply raising a hand, like I have a comment or I have a question or I need help, more than just a simple statement with these little things. But you can also have lanyards that are like telling people what they want or not want. So back to 10. No mandatory assemblies. Mandatory assemblies are awful. They usually don't teach. They take a lot of time organizing them before and after, telling everyone to go to them. But they're essentially hell. You have always crowd people you don't know, always people moving around, images of people and the noise and stuff, and it's oftentimes something boring and hell, like all of them were just army assemblies or useless ones like anti-bullying, but very useless ones. They're like, I'm special was one that's just awful and didn't do anything to stop bullies. Or that just were like spirit days, like go my school was, why do you need to raise spirit for the school? The school's to be teaching and making kids feel happy, not doing fake stuff to raise spirit. Bread and circuses. What are they, for the parents? Oh, and yeah, and the whole day I'm just restless and I can't focus and think afterwards. House tours at school. So that seems like an odd one, but in a couple inner city schools, people started putting laundry machines, barber shops and stuff at the school. And this really helped kids' attendance and more and focus on schools, because kids didn't have the best access to do this stuff at home, or was very difficult. So now they can do it at school, so more like they attend school. But also can bring less embarrassment at school. It can be a useful break at school, like let's say you get overwhelmed with school, maybe you just do a tour. Stuff like that. Food from outside school, letting that more in, can help you with very restrictive diets, or they have sense, or they need to eat throughout the day because they're not as aware of their body. Our last idea I have for here is to bring food, is that we cancel student debt so kids are not ashamed to go to school. And disabled kids are more likely to come from poor families, or the family become poor because of costs and stuff and not having the resources. Or to bring food back at home. To feed a kid, it only costs like $4 a day, all meals. So this is not a really expensive program, but it would really improve their education if they can not be hungry. And there's no shame in all this stuff. And all the schools do that. So thank you very much for listening. Please like and subscribe. It really helps the channel out. I'm trying to reach 1,000 subscribers in a year and 1,000 subscribers in a year and 4,000 watch hours, which is really hard, but with your help, I think I can do it. Also, if any of these for future videos, comments, or suggestions, please leave in the comment section below. Again, thank you very much. Goodbye.